Welcome back to the channel. This week on the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener, we're looking at tidying up the garden beds, prepping them, getting them ready for summer. And we're also going to be potting on the capsicums and some of the chilies, as well as pricking out and potting up the tomato seedlings. Come potter with me. My name is Dawn and I am the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener. Good afternoon. It is Monday the 15th of September and it is glorious out here. It's just about 1 o'clock and I've had a busy morning, but I've come out and to start to focus on this week's tasks, which, well, main task is to do some bed clearance and getting the beds prepped ready for planting up in the next few weeks. It'll be cool weather crops mainly at the moment, so peas and things like that, but I do need to tidy up the beds a bit because some of the winter brassicas have bolted, because we're getting some of this spring warm weather, which is wonderful, but you know, it is what it is. The brassicas think, oh, time to bolt. So what I'm planning to do this afternoon is just work my way through each bed slowly, clear out anything that's basically not doing anything or has had it, and I need to tidy up a couple of things that I got a bit bashed last week with thunderstorm / hail, and yeah, just slowly work my way through the beds this week. So I'm starting off in the first of the long beds, the one closest to the entrance of the deck by the strawberry bed. Bo's just hiding in the silver beet and the favourite cave both the boys have made. But what I'm going to do is just tidy up these brassicas and things like that. One of them definitely is bolting. Another one there, which is a red cabbage that has got a severe dose of the green-grey aphid. The soil looks like it really needs a good top up at some stage too, so but I'll let these cabbages finish that are in here at the moment. There's there's 4 cabbages with potential. One I've got to take out, one that's long gone. Yeah, so we'll see how this goes. The other thing I'm going to do today, and I'm not quite sure if you can see it, but there's hose pipes that were part of the watering system, and I'm going to start lifting them today because I want to upcycle them to other areas in the garden. I like to hand water these veggie beds because I can get in around the base and water them. And the little system that we've got here works well when they're just tiny plants in there, but as soon as they get to be of any height, the spray just hits the vegetable and falls straight down and doesn't actually water the bed properly. So I'm going to move some of it to the strawberry bed, as I think I've already previously discussed, or may not have discussed in earlier vlogs, and then other beds that are sort of more permanent stuff in there, so like the rose bed and the back garden flower bed. And I'll probably, if I've got enough, also do where the black currants and things are as well, just to reduce the amount of hand watering I need to do. I love hand watering, but I just need to rationalise my time at the moment. Okay, I know you can't see me, but I want to try and bring this up close. See what I mean by the green grey aphid? It's the worst I've ever had it. The little buggers are everywhere, all over the brassicas. So this one's bolted. It's a cabbage, green cabbage, so I'm just pulling it out, chopping it up and sticking it in the green bin. Not the green bin, in the compost bin, but yeah, really significant aphid infestations. There's no way that you can just wipe them out by washing them off all the time. I'll try and do it to the 2 red cabbages that are there, but yeah, pretty extensive. So despite the fact that we had rain, was it Thursday, the beds are reasonably dry. Not dry, but reasonably dry. That's the one thing about raised beds, is that they do dry out quickly. So when I'm watering, I normally give it a good soak first, give it a break, 5-10 minutes, maybe sometimes more, wander around the garden, do other bits, and then I come back and give it another second. So I'd sort of do the 2 watering thing. The idea is that the first time you water, it probably won't go down that far, but it does help with the permeability of the soil. And then the second one actually is the one that gets down further to the roots. I try and only water in the heat of the summer, maybe 3 times a week. Try and do deep watering rather than just shallow watering, because I want the roots to go down deep so that they are using the water further down rather than the dry topsoil. Doesn't always work, but I do try. So I'm going to keep watering this wee bit. I've ended up with the 2 green, 2 red cabbages, and I've just blasted off 1 million green-grey aphids off the red ones, and I have lifted all the leaves off the 4 cabbages just to give them a bit more of air and things like that, so hopefully I can reduce any pests. Now this is going to need a good dose of compost, because the soil is starting to get quite sandy, and it's just because it gets baked in the sun all the time, it just loses its structure. So I'll give it a good compost after these cabbages come out, and I can't remember what I decided to put in here. I've got a feeling it might be I've moved the carrots down to this end of the bed. Last year or last couple of years it's been onions, but I'm planning to do the onions at the far end of the second long bed this year. Not because I'm doing rotation or anything like that, it's just the way things work out sometimes with what beds I've got spare when, or what bed space I've got spare when. But yep, we'll see how it goes. Sometimes I just wander out, find a gap and shove it in. Great, just saw a white butterfly, just what I need, because I've got new brassicas ready to come out. That's actually the second one I've seen. I saw one about 4 weeks ago and wondered what the hell it was doing out. But yeah, this one's just gone through, and we have had milder weather over the weekend, though very windy, and today it's very mild, and tomorrow I think it's meant to be mild too, so the little buggers will be starting to come out. So I'm just tidying up the silver beet. So this is the deep compact. Not done wonderfully well this year, but it's not been bad either. The peppermint chard, or peppermint stemmed silver beet, done way better, but it did go in a lot earlier. However, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's been damaged by the hail from last week, so I'll just remove all the damaged leaves and just let it have a go. This looks like it's starting to bolt, but if I cut it right back it should be okay for a bit longer. So I'll replant some more in next week actually, and by the time this is finished the new stuff will be ready to go in. You can plant it directly because silver beet's quite a chunky seed, and I think I did that with the deep green compact, but I quite like to put in an established plant. They just seem to do a bit better than the seeds do. Last Thursday I tried to harvest some parsnips just here. The parsnips won, the tops came off and the parsnips stayed in the ground, and I meant to come back that afternoon and dig them out, but I forgot and things have got busy over the weekend. So I'm going to try and dig them out now, probably pull a few others around it at the same time, see how we go. Lou's just showing up. I've been out in the garden for ages and he hasn't noticed. I think he must have been asleep somewhere. Hey, were you asleep somewhere, bud? Right, we've got parsnips to try and dig out. You're not going to help, eh? You're going to be more of a hindrance. I know. Yep. Like, he just lays down on the parsnips. The guardian of the parsnips and the carrots. Okay, parsnip almost won. It had divided into two, so pushing down and twisting wasn't working. I've lost the second part, but at least I got most of it. And I've started the row. So hopefully now the rest will come out a wee bit easier. They're not huge. I didn't want huge parsnips because last time I grew huge parsnips, I had to dig down the full depth of the bed plus a bit more. But they end up with these huge long tails, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. They're really tasty parsnips though. These are hollow crown, I think. So yeah, quite happy with them. And of course, Lou has to come and help, doesn't you, darling? But you weren't much help. No, you weren't. So anyway, I will dig a few more of these out. Right, if anyone's got an easier way of getting parsnips out, please tell me, because these ones are killing me. I end up having to cut the root off of that one to get it out. Yeah, these ones came out a bit easier, but you know, because they've got long roots. I'm not quite sure why they get to be such long roots, but they certainly get enough of everything, including water, so they don't need to go searching for it. But yeah, anyway, I've harvested about half a dozen. That'll be enough for a tea tomorrow night. I've got some pumpkin left over from the end of last summer. It needs to be used, and I'll do some roasty veggies with these. So I better take the top off that. Stops the parsnip going soft. There we go. Yeah. But yes, that was hard work for a no-dig garden, because I don't normally dig. I stopped doing digging probably after the first year I put these beds in, when I realised that I couldn't do it anymore between my back and arthritis and my arms and hands and shoulders, etc. So I went to no dig, and I normally do a sort of no dig garden. I just pile the compost on, usually once a year, sometimes twice a year, just depending on what's going on. And other than digging out parsnips, I don't normally dig anything up. But yeah, but I am now officially dirty. Onward and upwards, because I'm still pulling off the hose pipe as I go. Got carrots to do, and then I've got to get around and do the whole other side, because I've only just done one side so far. Slow but sure. So I've done that bed. Took me a while, but I got there. The parsnips almost ended me. It's all tidied. It's had a water, and I've even done a couple of other things, like I've put some sheep pellets around the potted garlic. God, my brain is in a... Anyway, so I'm come off the big bed. I'm leaving the bed at the end of it, which is the broad beans and the Brussels sprouts for today, but I'm going to work on the broccoli bed. Now, it's done. I mean, there's a few heads there, but they've all sort of opened up and split, and they're not, and they were just the leftover little ones, not the big calabrese heads. That I harvested them ages ago. So I'm going to clear this bed, and it's around 3:30 at the moment, so probably won't get it all done. Plus, I'm running out of room in the compost bin. I still haven't, a week and a half later, actually got the rest of the turning done from the other one. I've got the brown now, and I've sprinkled that on and what have you. So tomorrow, after I've done the watering and all the other things for the seedlings, etc., I'll come back out and I'll finish turning that, and then I'll get on to doing some more of the tidying up the beds for spring. This bed will need a good composting layer on it. It did get some this time last year, but it really desperately needs it again. So I'm going to start clearing this away. When the bin's full, I'll give up, and then I'll go and get tea ready. Good morning. Well, it's Tuesday the 16th of September. I gave up probably about 3:30 yesterday, just basically because I'd run out of bin space. It has dropped a bit since yesterday, and I will top it up, but I've got to the point now that with my bins, necessity is requiring me to finish emptying the other one into the middle. So that's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm not going to film a lot of it. You've seen me doing it the other week. Hopefully it's not too noisy today, because there's some construction going on down the road, and while I've got the cover on the mic and what have you, it can still come out through the background. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do this morning, and then I'm going to head back out around the beds and keep tidying, and I'll talk through a few things as I do that. But it's a nice day with I think there might be an easterly breeze drift at the moment, so it will just take the heat out of the sun, because the sun's already very hot. I've already been out the front this morning, which is often what I do in spring and summer, is start in the front before the wind kicks in there, just doing a bit of light weeding and what have you, because I was doing some deep watering of some plants, so I was going backwards and forwards, and it was easy for me to just hang out there. So yeah, so now I'm going to head around and do this stuff. Well, that one came off way easier than the last time I was struggling and had to get family to do it. I got that off in all of about 2 seconds. So, and it's looking good, so I'm just going to quietly tip that into the other bin beside it, which, looking at what I'd done the other week, starting to break down beautifully. And then that will give me the empty compost bin to continue cleaning up the garden, doing the bed prep for spring and summer. Awesome. Right, done. And it only took me just under an hour. I'm really pleased with that. So that's all clear. I'll pop the bin back up there now, and then start getting in the green waste from doing the garden this afternoon. Though it's only just after, well, no, it's just coming up to 11. So I think once I get the bin there and what have you, I might go and make myself a second cup of coffee as a treat for the morning, and then get on with doing the other stuff. Yep, sounds a good plan. Okay, so I went and made myself my coffee, my treat. I'm going to work on the rest of the broccoli. Now, I've changed my mind from yesterday a bit as the afternoon went on. I was going to rip them all out, but what changed my mind was that some of them were actually putting out some new shoots, even though I'd already harvested the main broccoli and harvested the shoots that I'd got after that. They've got even new ones. So what I'm going to do is, I've taken a few out that were sort of past the use by date. I'm cutting off all the big leaves of the rest of the ones, and then I'm just going to mulch the bed, or put compost on the bed as is. I'm hoping that will give the current broccoli a little boost, and I'll get another flush of little sprouty heads, and then I don't need this bed probably till end of October, so it's another 5-6 weeks, so hopefully I'll get another lot, and then I'll just pull out the broccoli when I need to. Yeah, so that's my plan. When I do remove the broccoli, I cut off all the root bits and things like that because it's great for the compost. It all goes into the bucket and into the compost bin. But I can't cut these up, they're just too thick. And I do have an electric mulcher, but it doesn't work for these. It was a freebie that someone was giving away locally. And it does crunch up the big sticks type things. It doesn't do corn stems, and it certainly doesn't do these. So what I end up doing was I just take off all the bits and pieces I can off these, put it in my compost, and then these go into the green bin to go through the big mulcher at the council composting site. So they don't get wasted, they just get put somewhere else really. Yeah. Right, I'm done. So I have finished tidying up, and I've got 5 broccoli left, so I should get a nice little harvest out of them in the next few weeks. I watered the bed before I put the new compost on because it was really dry. These beds along here don't get the rain from the south. They're sort of a bit sheltered by the wee fence, so I need to remember to water them regularly. They also get a heap of sun, so then I put some of the compost that I bagged up the other day. That's just a half a bag. It's rough, it's ready, but it's full of goodies, lots of insects and things like that in there still, so that's great. And I just need to keep remembering to water it. I've watered it after I've put the compost on as well. So yeah, this bed's got about, as I said earlier, about 5-6 weeks before I need to use it. This bed traditionally is the one that I use for my outside tomatoes, so because it gets the sun from reasonably early in the morning right through till late afternoon, so it gets heaps and heaps of sun for that. And it's narrow enough, it's about 600 wide, that I can reach over and tie the tomatoes up to the stakes, so makes it a good bed for that. The next bed, which is my spinach bed currently, that will get the outdoor capsicums in it, and I normally grow my summer spinach at the front of that, and at the front of this bed, right along the edge here, I put my basil as a roll because it gets lots and lots of sun there. So looking forward to this summer. My next job is to sort these Brussels sprouts out that never bristled and sprouted, basically. Sorry about the noise in the background, I'm sure it's being picked up on the mic, but there's sounds like construction going on a couple of streets over, and the way the wind's blowing, it's just amplifying the noise. So back to the sprouts. Some of them I can use the heads. They'll just like little mini cabbages make good coleslaw. Unfortunately, a couple of them I've left a bit too long. This one's just blowing, and so it'll just be a compost job. But yeah, I'll have a look at the stems. Get it out, Dawn, and see what they have developed. But I don't think they've developed any Brussels at all. So it's after lunch now on Tuesday. The easterlies got up quite significantly, so I've given up on the Brussels sprouts because the wood rips down that alley, and it's just on the edge of the alley there. So I've come over to my badly bolted kohlrabi and my swede, and I'm just going to clean them up and tidy them up this afternoon for a while. It's still quite breezy here, very noisy because of the works going on there. To get sick of this, I'm going to head into the greenhouse and do some potting up because I've got plenty of that to do as well. So I'm just going to potter along here for a bit. I'll do a bit of speedy and then we'll catch up after I've done a bit. thin, slightly elongated kohlrabi. It is meant to be round, but it's not. But I'll still use it. I'll grate it up and use it as a coleslaw. So I'm just going to keep working my way through these now. It's been a bit of a carnage, as you can see. The aphids, I've decided to call the green-grey aphids graphids. They're thick, absolutely thick on this stuff. So it's a pretty job, but it is what it is. And bugs don't generally worry me, so I will take that in and give it a wash later and pop it in the fridge and probably use it tomorrow or the next day for something, and I'll take in the others. If I get as far as the Swedes today, we'll have a quick look at those, but if not, it won't be tomorrow, Wednesday, and depending on the weather, Thursday, Friday are looking probably not great for outdoor gardening. We're meant to have strong winds from tomorrow, gale nor'westers, and they can be hot and really nice, but they can be incredibly unpleasant. But yeah, and of course that's just, the heat's just going to make all the brassicas start to think about bolting. So just going to have to keep making steady progress day by day, little by little. Right, I've cleared that wee bit there of kohlrabi, and I'm just going to work my way around the end of the bed, which is the way I usually do it, rather than going backwards and forwards. Saves on the walking, saves on the back. So I'm just about to get to the swede, so that'll be interesting. And you definitely can see here, nothing really happened there with that one. But, she says, if I can get this one out, here we are. Not bad, it's not huge, but it's a swede. And normally all I get is sort of like that bit. So that bit, I'm happy with that. They won't make huge ones, but and a wee bit of potato and swede mash. The other thing is too, I like raw swede, so it's small enough I can cut that down into little matchsticks and just eat them that way. So yeah, these don't seem to be too bad as far as the Barefoot is concerned. There's some down there, but as you can see, it's bolting, so it's going to have to come out, and there's lots of like that in there. So yeah, I'll just slowly work my way through and get through this, but you don't need to watch me just doing that all day. So I'm going to leave that for today, and we'll catch up again maybe tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, but if not, Thursday, and we'll see what I can get done Thursday, weather dependent. It'll either be here or in the greenhouse, and we can look at the fact that the tomatoes are ready for potting on. I think they've got true leaves, so I'll need to get them done in the next week, so I'll start working on that. But I've also got to clear those. I've started clearing, but I've also got a lot to clear of those tiny little pots that I used for the eggplants, the chilies and the capsicums. They all need potting on too, so up to the next bigger pot. So I'll probably do them in batches and then do the tomatoes, backfill them in batches, but we'll probably look at that on Thursday. See how we go. But onward and upwards. Well, onward and on, yeah, whatever. Catch you tomorrow or the next day. Good morning. Well, it's Thursday the 18th and it's about 9:30, quarter to 10 in the morning, and I am doing a potting on marathon today. So I prepped everything yesterday afternoon after I got back from being out, and hopefully I'm all sorted, ready to go. So what I'm potting on today are a mix of eggplants and capsicums, etc. to start with, and then what I'm planning to do is to prick out the tomatoes that are ready to go. They've all got their true leaves after 2 weeks, and get them out of the little cells that I've got them in into these pots so that they can then grow on from there. Now, as you can see, these are quite big. They're a bit bigger than what I intended. So I'm going to put them into these pots. Sorry about the water everywhere, I'm just soaking them. Now, when you're potting on, you don't want to pot something that small pot into a huge pot. It's really tempting to save time and things like that. But what you actually want to do is put it into a pot no bigger than 5 centimetres wider than the pot that you've got. Okay, so this pot here is 4 centimetres wide. This pot here is 8 centimetres wide, so it's perfect. So it's about 4 centimetres wider. It looks considerably bigger and it is deeper, which is good. The reason being is that a lot of plants will send the roots out to the edge and grow from the edge out, not actually putting out a good network of roots down and around. The other thing that can happen too is in a bigger pot with a lot of soil is that potentially the roots can rot as well. So while it's tempting to save time and what have you, to pot out into a much bigger pot, so like this into its final pot, yeah, it's not good. So yeah. Today I'm hanging out in the garage. We've got a strong northwest wind that comes and goes. So while the greenhouse is great to hang out in, with the northwest it can A, be too hot, and B, the door opens to the northwest, so it just gusts through. So it's not the best place to hang out. And I must admit, this is a lot more space and things for me to hang out and do my work, and I've set myself up with a table and lots of other stuff that I need, so it just makes it easier for me not to be running backwards and forwards and getting things, which I don't really want to do because it just makes my back sore. The other thing about hanging out in the garage in the morning is that the sun comes through here and it can be really quite pleasant. I've got a good view around me, so it's just nice. So I've done quite a bit of prep. So these have all been filled. I've, as you can see, soaked them. They're soaked in a really dilute seaweed to start with. I find that helps with transplant shock, not normal strength, because what I find with my pots over the last few years, if I start using normal strength seaweed in them, this stuff just gets like concrete. So if I use really dilute and only use it every couple of weeks and make sure that they had good soakings in between, I can keep the soil not turning into cement, which is good. That's the problem with doing things when you haven't had your coffee and only just started sipping it. I just realised I've made a wee mistake. It's not the end of the world mistake. What I like to do with these to prevent more root problems and disturbance is what I normally do is just put a wee bit in the bottom, then put the pot in there, and usually it's an empty pot, but I've got no empty pots for this particular first one. Shove the dirt around there, make it so that there's sort of like a mould, lift the plant out and then tip it out and pop it in the hole. Instead, without thinking this morning, I've just rocked on, filled out about 9 pots. Won't be the end of the world. I just need to dump the stuff into the tray and just go back to doing what I normally do. So, silly me. This is definitely easier to do with dry soil. Silly me. We'll make it work. That's what you do. So I'm just filling in around the sides. It's just going to be wet and messy now. But what I might do for the other ones is dump out the stuff and just mix it in with the drier soil so it's easier to do. And not turn me into a muddy mess. So Sorry, this is taking a bit longer than normal, because usually you can just get it in. Usually use a bucket with soil and tuck it between my legs. I'll see if I can do that in a few minutes and show you what I mean. But right, now, trick will be whether it'll come out because it's so wet. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, so then all I want to do, and I'm not going to be able to get it completely in camera shot because I've got the camera quite close, but is just tip the pot, give it a squeeze, give it a tap, just try and loosen up the thing, get it out. So it's got a good root ball there at the moment, and just carefully tip her over and pop her in. And I'll put a bit more dirt around that in a minute. I'll just go and get some. Okay, so I've gone and got my bucket of dirt and set myself up. So I've tipped out half of what I'd already done. Got my spare pot now that I've done the first one. And what I tend to do, which makes it easier for me, everyone's got their own way, is just fill it in. Doesn't matter if the soil gets into the middle pot, because you're going to tip it back out again. So just go around, fill her up, and tap it down. I find this size works really well for me because it's about finger size. And get that tapped down. Just do another load. This works a lot quicker for me. I don't know what I was doing before, mucking around. No coffee, no brain. Right. And everyone will work out their own way of doing things that suits them, their abilities, etc., etc. But I do find by putting a pot in and doing it as a mould, just pull that out quietly, it prevents more plant shock from being transplanted, so transplant shock. Now that's a eggplant that I've got there. So you just pull the label out, because that can be a nuisance. Give her a tip over, squeeze. There's roots just starting to come out the bottom of there, so that's just the right time to start. And you don't want lots of roots coming out the bottom because then it's way past needing moving on. And you often rip the roots out as you're doing the transplant. Normally I do this on the bench, but I'm just trying to show you this bit. And pop her in like that. See, popped in nice here. Just pop that there, and I'm just going to use a wee bit of cutting mix along the top. Only because I'm finding this year that popping this over the top of my compost has, I've got no actual data, but it seems to be reducing the fungus gnats. So, I mean, I had heaps of fungus gnats last year. This year I seem to be doing with it. Got hardly any, which is great because they're a nuisance and they damage the plants. But I've got no empirical data to say that it is actually working or not, but it seems to be helping. Right, so that's it, potting on. Now I'm going to spend the next X number of hours and probably a couple of cups of coffee doing the same for the rest of the ones that I've got up here. So catch you on the other side. So those 4 trays just in front of you are the ones that I potted up yesterday. And yes, it did take me quite a while, but only because I spent the day also doing a whole lot of deep watering in the shelves and the greenhouse, so I sort of flitted between jobs during the day. This morning it'll be more concentrated, and at least 1 or 2 coffees, I think. But we'll come back to that later. Well, it's that time of week that we have a coffee and a chat and catch up with what we've been doing this week. So we started off at the beginning of the week or earlier in the week with doing the garden prep and lifting the irrigation system. So I've managed to get most of one bed lifted for the irrigation system, and I've sorted out most of 2 of the big beds regarding prep. They still need their compost, but they've had everything else removed and things like that. But I'll get the compost on this week, and I definitely got the one with the broccoli done, so I'm really pleased with that. Heaps and heaps of prep to be done, but I've got to balance it with looking after all the plants that I've got growing, bringing new plants on, i.e. planting seeds and things, keeping the greenhouse going, and a few other things, plus just day-to-day life. So the outside time is getting a bit more hard to get at the moment, but I'm trying to do it around fine days. I've got about 3/4 of the capsicums, eggplants and chilli plants potted onto the next size pot, which will be their final pot before they go up to their big pot. So that's good. And I'm probably about halfway through the tomato seedlings at the moment, so quite happy with them as well. So that'll be something that I'll continue on in this coming week. Generally, it's just a really busy time of year for gardeners because you've got stuff that's gone over that needs to be removed, you've got beds that need prepping, you're getting stuff ready to plant for this summer coming, you've got seeds that you're putting in, seedlings that you're moving on, there's all the watering that needs to be done for everything that's in pots and make sure that's all watered. So yeah, it's a full-on job at this time of year. I'd just like to thank everyone who's subscribed to date. That's awesome. But if you fancy subscribing, it is free. Even though that word indicates that you might have to pay, it isn't. It is free. And it makes my day seeing that little time counter thing going over. And also, if you're able to like and comment on the videos, that also helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap it up now, and I hope you have a happy and safe week coming up and that you have fun in the garden. So until next week when we catch up, it's bye from me.